Call of Duty. Love it or hate it, no matter what you have to say about the series, it's one of the most popular video game series of all time. It's the 17th highest selling video game franchise, which is impressive as it's less than 10 years old. But it's also easily one of the most confusing series. You may not realize how confusing it is even, but it's pretty bad, so I might confuse you only to clear that confusion. When I originally thought of doing this feature, this was one of the first ideas that came to mind. Someone had to explain just what the fuck was going on with this series. Only when I went to research it, I found that it was way more convoluted than even I had realized. So, here today I'm going to clear up all the confusion regarding the haphazard releases of this series. One thing you may be aware of is that there are two separate series within Call of Duty. That can get confusing, but it's not all that uncommon. The Street Fighter series is made up of several different series, as is Mega Man and, well, just about anything released by Capcom, come to think of it. The first thing that confuses people, though, is the numbering of the series. The first three games seem perfectly reasonable. You have Call of Duty, Call of Duty 2, and Call of Duty 3. Simple and to the point. After this, however, came Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. Now this doesn't sound so odd. A lot of series like to add subtitles to the sequels. Sometimes they just ditch numbering altogether and go with subtitles alone, like the Zelda games, which have exactly one numbered sequel before going exclusively towards subtitles. But it's worth noting for another reason, it was a stylistically different game. When Call of Duty was first released, it was a series of war-based first-person shooter games taking place during World War II. That's not unusual, as series do this, such as Medal of Honor and Wolfenstein, and truth be told, the original Call of Duty has a lot in common with Medal of Honor, and back then a lot of people called Call of Duty a blatant ripoff. Though to be fair, it didn't just copy Medal of Honor, but expanded on it. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare was the first in the series to not take place during World War II, but as the title suggests, it took place in modern times, and the villains were terrorists rather than Nazis. The game sold extremely well, but then they seemed to take a step backwards with the next game, Call of Duty World at War. World at War is an anomaly for two reasons. First, it takes place once again during World War II, being a direct sequel to the first three games, and secondly, because it is not numbered. Logic would dictate that as the first four games were numbered, and this was the fifth game, it would be Call of Duty 5. But it just isn't. Of course this isn't anything new, as I already explained, but then let's look at the sixth game in the series. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Wow. This is where it went from mildly strange to what the fuck territory. It's obviously a sequel to Modern Warfare, but how is it Part 2 when the first game was Part 4? After this came Call of Duty Black Ops, which doesn't take place during World War II, but is a sequel to World at War, containing some of the same characters. This is the most recent game, but pretty soon there will be a Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. So what exactly happened? There's clearly two separate series here. The first is the old-style games, and contains Call of Duty 2, Call of Duty 3, Call of Duty World at War, and Call of Duty Black Ops. The second series is the Modern Warfare games, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and soon Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. So basically here's what happened. The makers of the series, Infinity Ward, wanted Modern Warfare to be a completely separate series, without the Call of Duty branding. But were told by Activision, the publisher, that as the first three Call of Duty games had sold so well, they wanted to be called Call of Duty. So what might have just been called Modern Warfare wound up being called Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. Since the original title of the game had become the subtitle, and the publisher Activision was stuck on keeping Call of Duty branding, the only logical way to differentiate the sequels would be to number them, pretending that the first game was not a Part 4. This left the original series of historical games to have to ditch the numbers to avoid confusion. Of course, they could have handled it better. Here's how I would have done it. Just call it Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Then call the next game Call of Duty 4 World at War. It better differentiates the two series and shows clearly that Modern Warfare is a spin-off that has become its own series. Then you'd have Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and then Call of Duty 5 Black Ops. Isn't that better? Well, you may think I've cleared the confusion, but oh, no. I've just scratched the surface. You may think of Call of Duty as a single series that then split into two series, but it's way more fucked than that. Call of Duty was two separate series. Then it merged into one series, and then it split into two series. Confused? Yeah, I was too. If you played the first two Call of Duty games, let me ask you a quick question. What system did you play on? Did you say PlayStation 2? Wrong. Did you say original Xbox? Wrong. Did you say GameCube? Wrong. While in fact there are games for those systems called Call of Duty 1 and 2, they are not part of the same series. Here's how it worked. The original game, Call of Duty, came out for PC and Mac. There wasn't a home console version unless you count the N-Gage, and no one fucking counts the N-Gage. However, a spin-off game using the same engine was released for home consoles, Call of Duty Finest Hour for PlayStation 2, Xbox, and GameCube. Yeah, you might have thought that Finest Hour was just the subtitle to the first game, but actually it is a spin-off of the first game. It uses the same engine and graphics, but tells a completely separate story. Call of Duty never got a physical release on home consoles, though it was released for Xbox Live Arcade and the PlayStation Network as Call of Duty Classic. The second game, Call of Duty 2, was also released for PC and Mac, and thankfully not the fucking N-Gage, and also came out for Xbox 360. However, even though 2 got a home console release, they still made a sequel to Call of Duty Finest Hour, essentially creating a second console Call of Duty series. This one was called Call of Duty 2 Big Red One, and once again it came out for GameCube, Xbox, and PlayStation 2. Call of Duty 3 actually never came out for PC at all, making it the first game in the original series to be a console exclusive. It came out for PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, Wii, Xbox, and Xbox 360. So you'd think there'd be no reason to have a separate console version, as the main version of the game was on a console. Well, actually there was a third game in the console series, Call of Duty Roads to Victory, which came out exclusively for the PSP. Now you may think, Necro, maybe that's just a one-time spin-off and it isn't related to Finest Hour or Big Red One. Well, I'd say that, except that in Australia the game is called simply Call of Duty 3. So, basically you have two separate series. One contains Call of Duty 1, 2, and 3, and the other contains Finest Hour, Big Red One, and Roads to Victory. The fourth game had only one version, but in itself was a spin-off, creating a new series. So Call of Duty started off as two separate series, then one ended, and the existing series split into two. If that isn't some confusing fucking shit, I don't know what is, but hopefully it's all laid out for you nicely. The sad part, most of my subscribers probably don't give a shit about Call of Duty. Hell, I only give a cursory shit about it myself. That being said, please, let's not turn the comments into a Call of Duty hate fest. I don't care if you love the series, and I don't care if you hate it. No one does. Your opinion is fine for you, but really, nobody asked. So let's just keep it friggin' civil, okay? That being said, that's it for this episode. Join me next time, and we'll talk about a subject that has a lot of confusion, especially with younger gamers. We're going to tell the truth about censorship in the 16-bit era.